Okay, the Boing. The Boing is a wheelchair that ideally is probably for your second time user, third time user, lifetime chair after that. Because of the movement, the suspension that's basically built onto this chair, probably not considered so stable for your first time user. Now, the actual Boing itself can go with a width of as narrow as 14 inches, as wide as 18 inches. It can go with the seat depth on 3 different frames. First of all, 13 to 16, and then on a long frame, we'll go 15 to 19. Now, when I say 3 different frames, we're doing a super short frame, just like you would see right here. The super short frame would consist of a 110-degree bend right here, real nice and tight. The second frame that would be coming out on the Boing would actually be a short frame. The short frame would consist of a 90-degree bend. At that point, ideal probably for your second time user, maybe somebody that doesn't want to be tucked in so tight. The third actual frame that we're doing is going to be the long frame. The long frame is also going to consist of a 90-degree bend, but we're going to give you 3 inches of depth in the back. So that will accommodate up to a 19-inch seat depth on that for your longer patients, or your taller patients, I should say. Now, the adjustability on this. On the rear seat height, you can basically go from a 16-inch up to an 18.5 inches in the rear seat height on this. On the front, we're basically set up at 17.5 to go all the way up to 19.5. That's what you're going to find on your standard configurations for the actual Boing. Now, on your front seat height, we can accommodate going custom-wise. We can accommodate going over 18.5, or I should say 19.5. That'd be easy to do. That's by us customizing the frame. Now, in the rear, it might have to consist of certain components, such as a bigger wheel, or trying to max out what we've got going on here as far as the suspension goes. That'll have to be determined. You might have to call Colours to basically get that done. Okay, the adjustability on the Boing. In the rear seat height, you've got this actual rear seat height plate right here, set up at 3 different configurations. You got your 16, your 17, and your 18. This is already drilled in. All we need to do is take this receiver, put it into the different actual hole to achieve that. Your center of gravity is actually set up by taking the entire suspension unit that you're looking at right here and moving it forward and backward. This one involves a little more work because we've actually got 4 bolts on each side that hold the actual suspension unit. But once it's basically set into the position the patient wants, it's absolutely what they're going to be expecting out of a suspension unit. Like the rest of our adjustable chairs, whatever you do in the back as far as changing the rear seat height and changing the center of gravity, you need to go up and basically readjust the front caster housings. As we talked about in our other adjustable chairs, same exact way it's set up. You got 2 set screws right below the actual bolts right in here. Everything needs to be backed off, loosened up. After you've achieved your rear seat height, you go in with a straight edge perpendicular to the floor at 90 degrees, realign your front caster housings, and whatever you've done in the back, you've realigned the front. The chair should track a straight line. As the rest of our actual chairs that offer adjustability, we're doing the same thing with our backrest. You can basically start your backrest on this super short frame at 14 inches and take it all the way back to 16 inches to accommodate the actual patient as growth. Angle adjustability is built right in here also. You can take this actual backrest right here with the patient in the chair. By backing off these 2 screws with this actual circular disc right here, you can readjust the backrest with the patient in the chair, retighten your screws, and you've achieved the position that they actually want. Another customized feature that can be done on the Boing is the diagonal. Once again, because Colours can reproduce a chair that a patient currently has, and by you guys turning in that diagonal measurement, which is taken from where the backrest meets the frame, diagonaled all the way down to the front of the footrest, you guys can tell us what you want the length of the frame to be. So if that's something that a patient requires on a certain angle, Colours can absolutely achieve that. Another area that can actually be customized would be basically the inside foot clearance. We could take this area right in here and open this up and expand it a little bit wider to accommodate for bracing, KFOs, AFOs, anything that needs to be popped in here that a clearance is going to need to be had, Colours can do that. Other than that, it would normally come with a standard 3-inch taper that you're looking at here. You guys can kind of dictate what you would like that to be. Now, I think the unique thing about the actual Boing wheelchair right in here is the actual 4-point suspension system. When I say 4-point suspension, we've got a spring in every single corner of this actual chair right in here. You got the 2 up in the front, which absorb any cracks, crevices, whatever you might be rolling over. And then by turning this chair around, slowly as I do, it allows to show you guys the 4-point suspension in the back. You can see the way this is actually set up with an A-arm spring suspension on this. In all honesty, there probably is no better ride on the market right now. The Boing will suck up everything that basically is out there on the terrain that won't go back into the person's body that normally would cause any kind of spasticity, something that would cause normal back pain. Or to quite frankly be honest with you, this chair, because of the movement, actually gives you a pressure relief. Down below with the good cushion and the suspension, anybody that's had any kind of pressure sore issues, this ideally would probably be the better chair for them to get into. You will actually get pressure relief from that too. So a good cushion with some movement underneath you will constantly keep the blood flowing down below. And not to mention, this chair right here is the chair that actually is doing the backflip underneath Aaron Fotheringham right now in all the skate parks. So for those of you that think the chair might be too heavy at 23 pounds, those of you that are worried about a little bit of movement, be ready to have probably the most ultimate ride. At the same time, not a bad looking setup as you go.